We're rolling.
Welcome to the REI Rookies Podcast.
The Real Estate Investing Rookies Podcast, episode number 17, where we invite you to follow us on our journey towards financial freedom using the power of real estate. I'm Josh Koth.
And I'm Jack Haas.
And here at REI Rookies, we believe in a couple key principles. Number one, the best way to retain information is by teaching it to others. And number two, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're not competitors, we're a community. So let's get into some real estate investing.
So this week we're going to go back to square one and talk about what we would do possibly differently if we had to start over again.
Yeah, we were just looking back at all the transactions we've done, and it's been 26 transactions in the last 15 months. And, we've learned so much on each one of these deals that obviously we would do things differently from when we first started out, right?
That's definitely the case. So let's start off with setting goals and what we would focus on.
Well, one thing I would do is kind of get everything figured out in advance, like so you know how to steer the ship, what direction, right? So you need to know, what am I going to be going after? What types of properties? What's my goal with real estate investing? Am I trying to generate passive income, through buy and holds? Am I generating chunks of income through flipping and lots of buying and selling? What market segment do you want to be in? Do you want to kind of stay in the lower end? That's what we've chosen, below $200,000, which in our market is kind of the starter home market segment, because those work as rentals and as flips. So that's kind of what we've chosen. But a lot of people, flip in higher end neighborhoods because there might be some more upside there. So, I would really start out by kind of deciding what my goal was going to be with the real estate investing, and kind of pick one method to focus on, whether it's flipping or buy and holds.
Yeah, in our case, our end goal is to have rentals. And everything is driven to that. So even though when we talk about doing any kind of flipping or other exit strategies, it's all focused on hitting that goal of developing our rental portfolio. So when we do a flip, we are using those funds and revenue to purchase the next rental property.
Yep, exactly. So one thing you need to decide right away, and what I would do if I was going to start over, is really researching your market. And luckily, we deal primarily in the market we live in, and we've lived here most of our lives, so that's a little bit easier. We kind of know the neighborhoods and what things sell for. But you can still dig deeper. There's, like we talked about in an earlier episode, there's streets that I've never driven on in the town I've lived in for most of my life. So take different routes around, check out the neighborhoods, see what types of houses are there primarily, because that's a very important point, is that you'll never be able to, sell something for more than the neighborhood is worth. So no matter how much you over rehab a property, you're kind of restrained by the top end of what that neighborhood will support. So that's such an important number to know. So you have to know what houses in every area of town will sell for. So that's an important thing to research.
Yeah, and it's really important, again, to know your formulas, and when you find a property, how to identify how that's going to be a good deal.
Yep. So, we spent a lot of time figuring out all the expenses that go into owning a property as a rental, for instance, all the ongoing monthly expenses, and how to structure our formulas so we can quickly evaluate, first of all, in that neighborhood, what can we get for rent for that type of property, and then minus all those expenses and our cash flow that we like to generate, what price could we pay for that property? And you need to be able to do that quickly, because you're going to be looking at a lot of properties, and you need to have a efficient, quick way to establish what you could pay and still make money on those. So you need to be quick and figure out those formulas. So go back and listen to a few of our acquisition strategies episodes, and we talk more in depth about how to structure those formulas. So there's 3 numbers you need to have figured out in order to write an offer. And if you're not writing offers, you're not going to be closing deals. So this is crucial. You need to know the comps of the neighborhood you're in. You need to know the rehab costs, and you need to know what rent that property will bring. So when you have those three numbers, you can use your formulas to effectively write offers confidently. So that's the three things you need to have figured out.
And comps and rent ceiling, those are easy. You can look those up. It's the rehab cost that takes a little finesse and experience, and possibly getting a few bids on some deals in order to learn that process and understand what type of square footage is going to cost.
Yep. And I mean, that's one thing we've taken a long time to learn over the past year and a half. What types of rehab things are going to do, and then how much those cost to do as well, because it can really be maddening trying to figure out where do you stop, and then again, that's why you need to know your comps, because if the neighborhood will only support an average, price or a maximum price even of like $200,000, well, you can't over rehab it and expect to get 260, 270 just because you put a lot of nice things in the house. Well, the neighborhood just won't support that. So you need to don't fight, what's true. Just embrace it and figure out what those numbers are and rehab properly for that neighborhood. Also, what people are expecting to find when they purchase a house in that neighborhood. They're not expecting gold-plated everything in certain neighborhoods, right? But if you're in a higher-end neighborhood, they are expecting a lot nicer upgrades, and you need to plan accordingly. So in either case, you need to know your neighborhoods and not over or under rehab for those neighborhoods.
One of the things that I think that a person should do is take stock in what you have, whether that is your time, your strengths, your weaknesses. Josh and I kind of complement each other on a lot of our abilities. But I think it's really important to sit down and take a hard look at that from the beginning.
Right. And, for instance, I am not that good at any sort of construction stuff or carpentry stuff. I'm good at hauling junk around and possibly, doing the easy parts of painting. That's about the extent of it. So if we need any detailed trim work or, some really refined painting or things like that, that's not going to be me doing that. So you need to find either a partner or partner with people that have those skill sets, or you're going to have to hire that out too. So it's important to know what you're good at. And I'm good at finding deals and negotiating deals and writing offers, things like that, and running the numbers. So that's really what I try to concentrate on. And we hire out most of the other things. So, know your strengths and know what you're good at, because if it's going to take you 10 times as long to, paint a room, you should probably just hire that out, because any savings you see by not paying to have it done is erased by it taking way too long and maybe done poorly by yourself.
I think that's something to really call out is really being honest with yourself, because I think a lot of people overestimate how much they can get done in any given time period, or their ability. Yeah.
And you don't want these, especially if you're doing flips. Well, actually any rehab really, even if it's just getting ready to rent or if you're going to put it on the market and sell it. Time is money, right? So if you're sitting in that property for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, every week that goes by, it's costing you more money in carrying costs. So it's so important to be able to finish these rehabs or any upgrades needed very quickly and efficiently, because otherwise it's going to cost you more money. And at the end of the day, we're in this for profit, and you want to maximize that. So we try to do as much as we can. We do some things ourselves when we have to, and we try to figure out a way to make it efficient. And you want to never be the bottleneck in a project, right? If you have subcontractors coming in, you need to be able to figure out how you can get out of their way and get everything scheduled as seamlessly as possible so you don't delay the project. So again, like Jack said, take stock of your strengths and really play to those.
And just building on what you said about your subcontractors, if you have one of the strengths that people might underlook is if you have a flexible schedule and being adaptive to change. A good example is last night when we were painting a new rehab and the flooring crew came in to start rip things out. I just simply moved to another room to continue the painting there. You just have to be a little flexible in some of the things so that you can keep moving the project forward.
Yeah, last thing you'd want to do is have a subcontractor, be in their way. You want them to get in there, do their work, and get out and move on to the next thing, because it's hard enough to get people to come in and get them scheduled. So, yeah, just let them do their thing, move on to something else. And like you said, flexible schedule. Like, for instance, since I have my days free due to, running a photography studio, I have a more flexible schedule. So that's a strength for me. So I can go out and look at properties more, have time to write offers, run numbers, things like that. Whereas if you're working a day job, it's less flexible. So we have to try to capitalize on those strengths and weaknesses and figure out how you can still move the business forward regardless of what situation you're in. And a lot of people, when they start real estate investing, they probably have a day job, right? I mean, few people are just full-time real estate investors right out of the gate. So most people are doing this part-time, especially to start. So, maybe you do it every Sunday or something. You're just going to go look at properties or drive neighborhoods or write marketing letters, things like that. So, if you don't have a lot of cash on hand, time is something that you can trade and still make the business very profitable. Let's say you do have a bunch of cash on hand. Well, then possibly, but you work a day job, but you make a great income. So possibly you could partner with somebody who is more of a do-it-yourselfer. You could find the deal, provide the cash, they could do the work, and you could split the profits. That's one way that both people could benefit. And let's say you have some construction background and very skilled on the rehab side of things, but you don't have a lot of cash. You could partner with somebody who has cash, and they could bring you the deal. You could, again, split the profits. That's a way for both parties to benefit. So really take stock of what you have, whether it's time, flexible schedule, the cash, your skill set, and see where you can add value. And I would pursue real estate investors that are out there doing it and offer ways that you can provide value and see if you can get in on some deals. That's a pretty easy way to get started.
And when it comes to the cash, a lot of people will say they don't have the money to get started. But you really should take a look at what you actually are sitting on, whether it's CDs that are underperforming, savings accounts, even a home equity line of credit. Anywhere that you can start pulling cash, because cash is king in this market, and you're going to be able to close a lot faster.
Yeah, and if you have money that's not earning any interest, especially like something that's sitting in a savings account, obviously you don't want to drain your emergency fund. But if you have money that's earmarked for investing that you want to grow, and it's sitting there earning 1% or less or something, put that to work. Get it out there earning above the rate of inflation, either through flipping or buying rentals, and put that money to work. And like Jack, like you mentioned, the equity in your home is a great source that a lot of people have that they don't realize it's just kind of sitting there, not earning above the rate of inflation. So put that money to work, and that's a great way to get started. I mean, really, it's great to make cash offers full price for houses, but if you can come up with the 20% of what it takes to acquire a house and have cash for the rehab on hand, that's really all the cash you'll need. And if you don't have that, like I said, then it's time to trade your time for someone else's cash. So partner with somebody on a deal. And that kind of brings me to the next subject of get out there and meet people. That's probably the number one thing that I would do besides looking at properties and getting out looking at properties is actually network, face-to-face networking. So find other real estate investors, look for RIA clubs, look for meetup groups, look for Facebook groups, anybody talking about real estate investing. Tell everyone you're looking to find a flip or find a rental. You'll have enough properties to look at where you can spend your entire days just doing that. So it's important to get out there and meet everyone who could possibly help you, or more importantly, you could possibly help them. And when you come into it with an attitude of, what do I have to give? How can I add value? People are going to really recognize that and probably want to work with you.
And it's the whole concept of being a sum of the people you surround yourself with. And we keep bringing this concept up. Mm-hmm. It's even more important to let everybody know what you're doing. That's one of the biggest habits that I've had a hard time getting into, is letting everybody know that I'm doing real estate investing And when you share that information, they open up, and you'd be surprised how many people you actually know and you meet on a regular basis that are looking to get into real estate investing for that first time.
Yeah, and look at the popularity of all the flipping shows on TV, right? There's definitely an interest level. People love to watch these shows. They love seeing how a project comes together, the design portion of it, all the profits that are made. I mean, regardless of how much of a fantasy those shows might be or unrealistic they might be in your market, that's something you can kind of capitalize on, that interest level that's there. So if you can kind of pique people's interest, find a way for them to be a part of a real estate deal, that might be an exciting way for them to have their money invested.
So just circling back on the networking part, Josh, how would a person find some of these networking groups?
Well, there's lots of free resources out there. Just telling everyone, like you said, your circle of friends and family and acquaintances. There's real estate meetups. There's RIA groups. There's real estate agents. I mean, that's how we met our agent that we work with on most MLS deals is just through clicking on a Zillow ad and going to look at a property, and that was who showed up, right? Just start emailing agents, get on a lot of those auto email lists. That's a big way to look at properties and just get out there and meet people. Craigslist, great source. You'll see properties listed for sale all the time by owner. People looking, even people looking to buy properties, right? What if you found a buyer who was looking for a property and you were the one to bring it to them? I mean, there's a way you could possibly do your first real estate deal with not having any cash. You just have to locate the property and you can kind of get a finder's fee. We call that wholesaling, right? So there's lots of ways to do your first deal without a lot of assets required by you other than maybe your time and some effort.
And one way to meet some of these real estate agents that I had heard this tip from somebody else. I unfortunately can't give them credit, but they learned how to meet some of these agents because on weekends, there's a ton of open houses, whatever city you're in, and there's an agent at every single one. So it kind of is a two birds, one stone. You get to see a property, and you'll get to meet every real estate agent in town eventually.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Just hit a bunch of open houses in a row, chat up the agents, tell them you're looking for investment properties. And sometimes they'll even pair you up with other investors. Like if you say, well, I have a lot of construction experience. I'm looking to get into some flipping, but I don't have a lot of cash. Maybe they know somebody who is cash rich and doesn't have any construction experience. You can have a partnership possibly. I mean, we've had agents bring us other investors' names plenty of times. So that's a great way to find potential partners.
And meeting these people too has another benefit. It's finding that other talent and helping you build out your team. So whether you need general contractors, plumbers, electricians, there's no better resource than those direct referrals that you can get through these networking groups.
Yep. So, in addition to just meeting people face to face, I would say seek out other real estate investors that are actively doing it and have done it for a while. And they likely have all those resources in hand. And most people are pretty willing to share. Like if they have a plumber they love, they're willing to happily share their number because they want to support that plumber. They want them to get work. So they're happy to share their number and their information with you. So that's a great source. We're not here to reinvent the wheel. If someone has a great contractor they love using and they do great work at a reasonable price, I don't need to call 100 people to figure out if that's true. You can build some trust there and go with what works, right? Good.
Yep, and I just wanted to make one quick pitch for Master Networks. You take a look around your local area to see if there is a chapter in your market for Master Networks, and please use Josh Koth or Jack Haas as your referral.
All right, so we've covered kind of how you get out there and meet people and let people know that you're looking to invest in real estate. So the second step is to find properties, right? So here's the free methods that I would use to look for properties immediately. Number one, go through the MLS. Call some agents and get on some email lists where they'll send you every property that meets a certain criteria. That's how we've purchased a lot of properties. So that's the first thing you can do. That's free. It's easy. It's automatic. go on Craigslist and Zillow and look up FSBOs, for sale by owners, or just drive around your neighborhoods, write down numbers. Great way. You can start calling those. That costs nothing to do. Also, see if there's wholesalers in your market. If it's a bigger market, there's likely people that do this for a living. They just find deeply discounted properties and sell them to other people for a finder's fee. Well, that can save a lot of work on your behalf if someone can bring you a great deal that you probably may have not have been able to find on your own because you're not doing a bunch of marketing campaigns like they are. And you can still have a great deal with enough meat on the bones, profit-wise, for everyone. And it's provided right to you on a silver platter. You just have to find the wholesaler and purchase the property. So definitely look for wholesalers. So that's 3 ways. The MLS, check out FSBOs, either on Zillow or Craigslist, and check out any local wholesalers. Those are 3 methods you can use right away that cost nothing.
Well, and to summarize here, we just kind of covered some of the things that we thought we should do if we had to start over from square one. So remember, what's your goal?
Yep, determine that goal. Where's the ship headed? Where's your compass pointed?
Know your formulas.
Yeah, you need to know what things rent for, what they'll sell for in that neighborhood, in your market, and decide a market segment you're going to focus on.
Take stock of all your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, do you have time in abundance? Do you have a flexible schedule? Do you have money in abundance? Do you have special skills you can leverage to partner with other people?
Meeting the right people and networking.
Yep, so get out there and meet people face to face. By far the best way to build trust and start partnerships.
And finding those free ways to find those properties.
Yep, market in all the free ways possible. Look through the MLS, get on auto emails, call FSBOs, and find local wholesalers. So if that's what I would do if I was going to start out right now, knowing after 26 deals, knowing what I know now, that's what I would do right away.
So moving into our lesson of the week, which is real estate investing specific. And we are going to put a link in the show notes regarding this, but Zillow recently put out an article talking about different paint colors for different rooms of a house. It's just great for especially flips.
Yeah, one of the most important things you can decide when you're doing a rehab is how to paint especially the interior of your home, whether it's for flipping purposes or to appeal to tenants if you're going to keep it as a rental. So initially we had started painting everything beige, and we realized quickly that wasn't the most appealing, especially to younger tenants or buyers. But it was easy. But we thought, well, let's put a little more effort into this. And we asked our property manager, well, what do people like? What are they looking for? You show a lot of properties. What do people compliment? And she said, well, they love gray walls, white trim, and everyone knows that's kind of trendy if you watch the flipping shows. I mean, there's a lot of gray and whites flying around, not a lot of brown. So that's the trend that we're in. Let's ride that. Don't fight that. I mean, remember, we're not the ones living in the house. So we want to paint the house in such a way that's going to appeal to the most people and sell or rent for the highest amount. So that's really all that matters. So in this article, it's pretty cool because it goes through some appealing paint colors and takes us one step past the gray and white. And it talks about accenting here and there and painting your bathrooms a separate color. And actually, Jack, then you just kind of took it upon yourself, and on this rehab we're currently in, you just said, I'm going for it. I'm going to paint the bathroom this blue that they recommended. You actually brought the article into the Sherwin-Williams and said, can you match this color, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And Josh and I are very analytical when it comes to this type of stuff. We're not out to make our mark on every property we touch. We just want it to be spelled out exactly what we need to do. Mm-hmm. So, this article especially, the biggest bang for your buck out of this was bathrooms being painted blue. And for some reason, and there's probably a pretty big swath of properties that they're taking a look at, but on average, in this scenario, blue bathrooms gave an extra $5,400 in the sale price of the properties on average.
Yeah, all things being equal, like same number of bedrooms, same square footage, but the only thing differing was that the bathroom was this kind of, was it that specific shade of blue, or was it just any variation of blue?
It was like a soft periwinkle blue.
Okay. Yeah, so you went and matched that color, and you painted both bathrooms in this flip we're working on right now, that exact color. And, we have the gray and white scheme running throughout the rest of the house. So it adds a nice little kind of bolder accent. And then it also mentions something about painting the doors, right? The front door to the house.
Yeah, the front door should be a bold color. It didn't really specify that type of color, but strong accent front door colors for some reason
think about how easy that is to do, right? You just painting a door. It's very simple. But that curb appeal, the psychological effect that has when people drive up. So we thought, well, let's paint the front door the same color as those bathrooms because it's a bold color. It works with the siding and the front of the house. And then it ties those two bathrooms in. So, we thought that was going to be a good idea. So we'll let you know how that works out.
Yeah, it was just a really great article, and it's something to just go by because there's some numbers and statistics backing them.
Yep, and we love stats. So, and we're always trying to refine our spec sheet, as we call it. So, the colors we use on every property, because one thing you realize is you want to systemize this stuff, and you don't want to have to, on every property, start from scratch deciding what colors you're going to paint everything and how you're going to do everything. So we try to systemize it and have standards that we kind of stick to. We call this our spec sheet. So, maybe we'll add this blue for bathrooms to our spec sheet and just roll with it on every property from here on out.
So going into the book and quote of the week for Coach's Corners, Josh, you have a book you wanted to recommend.
All right. So this book is called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And the subtitle is Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. And I read this book when I was starting my photography business, and it really applies to all entrepreneurs, all small businesses, and applies to real estate investors as well. Basically, the overall theme of the book is just because you're great at making pies doesn't mean you should necessarily open up a pie shop, nor will you enjoy it if you do. Because inevitably the person making the pies is the one putting in all the hours and slaving away, and they become a slave to the business instead of benefiting from the business and having the business create the life they're looking for. So if you're the one that bakes the pies, you better figure out how to systemize that and have someone else baking the pies, and you own the pie shop, but you better be good at the business side of things, the administration side of things. And it was kind of a slap in the face a little bit, because when I started my photography business, I thought, I can't wait to take pictures for a living, right? Well, it turns out that's what you do about 5% of the time. And the rest of the time, you're doing all the administrative tasks that go along with running a business. So you better figure out how to do those well and enjoy that part of it as well. So, and to tie it into real estate investing, that's why we try to outsource as much as we can, subcontract out as much work as we can, property management, all those types of things. So we're spending our time doing the highest and best activities that produce the highest income and also allow us to step away from the business and have that passive income. So that's the more you can systemize, the better.
This really sounds like a strong complement to a previous book we recommended, The Cash Flow Quadrant.
Yep. Yeah, it exactly is. It's all about systemizing and being able to actually work on the business instead of in it, right? That saying, and being able to step away. I mean, the true test of whether you're an entrepreneur versus just a small business owner is, can you step away from the business for a period of time and have it still run without you? And our goal is to have a portfolio of rentals managed by a property manager set up to the point where the income is being produced whether it has our participation or not. So that's, involves setting up some systems. So that's really where this book is a great resource. The E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber.
As always, do you have any questions for us? We'd sure like to hear from you. Send an email to info@REIRookies.
Make sure you follow us on Facebook. Check us out at Twitter @REIRookies. And if you like what you're hearing, head over to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It really helps other rookie investors out there find the show.
And remember, get off the bench
and get into the game. We'll see you next time.
Yep, and I've just lost my train of thought.
Or tenants even. And we... crap. Way to pump it up. I like it.